Hi, and welcome to episode number 7 of Pixpro Labs Live Show. I am Sarah Watz, and I'm the CEO of Pixpro Labs and also the host of this show. My mission is to help Joomla businesses grow. And one way of making that happen is to host this live show. In all this week's live shows, I'm inviting people running businesses that provides Joomla hosting, extensions, templating, training, and services. We talk about business, we talk about life, and of course, we talk about Joomla. Please help us share this show with your friends. You can share it while we're live, or you can share the replay. And since it's a live show, I love to get your questions to ask my guests. It's so super easy. You just type in your questions into the comments, one question at a time, please. And then I can feature it on the screen and I can ask my special guest the question for you. And while you're at it, please give us some feedback with emoji so we know what resonates with you. Okay, so with no further ado, let me introduce this episode's special guest, Ronni Christiansen from AESIR. I was honored to serve with Ronni on the Joomla board of directors when I was the president of Joomla. He's a true Viking, and I have been looking forward to this conversation today to talk about the subject that we both are very passionate about, contextual marketing. So let me get Ronni on the screen for us and say hi and welcome.
Hello, nice to see you again.
Nice seeing you. So let's start our conversation while you introduce yourself to us and talk about where you're from and what you do.
Well, my name is Ronni, and I'm based in Odense in Denmark. And Odense is a 1,000-year-old city that's actually named after Odin. So that's where the Viking parts comes from, I guess. I'm the CEO and founder of AESIR Contextual Marketing, but I also am the founder and CEO of RedWeb, our agency, which is actually the world's largest Joomla agency. I was the founder of redcomponent.com, where we used to have 278 Joomla extensions at one point in time, and we do actually have turned around 500,000 downloads of our RedShop e-commerce extension for Joomla as well. Today, I primarily work with our AESIR contextual marketing platform, helping businesses thrive and to transform digitally. Not so much that they need to be only digital, but in the sense that they need to transform the businesses into a future where they need to be more aware of the changes in their customers' behavior, and they need the different tools to be able to see and understand those behavioral changes in their customer bases so they can better accommodate and cater for the needs and requirements and the purposes of their customers. So that's pretty much what I do today. I'm a father of 4 children. Just turned 40 actually, so the big
Congratulations.
4. Thank you. The big 4-0. Yeah, beyond that, I work a lot, to say the least, 100 hours a week or more. But I mean, when you have the opportunity to work with something you love and you're fully passionate about, then you're not really looking at the clock, are you?
That's very true. I can cheer on that one. So how did you come into the Joomla sphere? How did you find Joomla?
Well, in, what was it? In 1993, I started working with front-ending in sort of the first version of the HTTP protocol. I came from a back-end development background into working with front-end because that was the only thing there was back then. And then over the years, I've actually been working with front-end and back-end. I developed one of the first CMS systems in Denmark. I think maybe one of the first in Northern Europe. I think I developed the first standard e-commerce system in Scandinavia as well, which was in the mid-90s based on Visual Basic scripting, which was sort of the first server-side really approach after server-side includes and Perl scripts. And then around 2001, I sort of had this open source opening. Suddenly I saw the world in a new way, and I started working with Mambo. I fell over Mambo as a CMS. By that time I had sort of archived my own what would be a .NET CMS by then, and I started working with Mambo. Around the same time I got tired of working with IT, and I wanted to try something different. So I started to study political science just to try something completely different at the university. And I actually built a student portal for my year based on Mambo originally, and then later migrated over to Joomla, the first version of Joomla. And it was very interesting because I believe that if we shared our collective knowledge, our study notes and all of that, then we could perform better. And I was a part of what was named Team 2. There was 3 teams, so the 150 students of our year was divided into 3 teams, team 1, 2, and 3. After the 4th semester, both Team 1 and 3 had lost more than 50% of the students in stop tests. But on Team 2, because we were sharing our knowledge in this portal I had built first on Mambo and then later on Joomla, we had actually lost less than 30% of our, I think it was 26% of the students instead. So our losses in the first 4 semesters were half the other teams, and I think in large parts because we were willing and able to share our knowledge and information with each other. We were sort of standing on the shoulders of each other. And that happening on an open source platform was it was quite what could you say? It was almost like karma or something, because it became the foundation that helped to ensure that a lot of people continued to finish their educations later. Personally, I figured out that studying political science also meant that you had to work in public sector, and my inner Viking and working in a public sector does not match very well. So I over the years I went back to web development, and I actually started Red Web, and then at the end I went 100% with Red Web back then.
So how come how did you sell Joomla to your clients when you worked at Red Web more with like the client base, and why not use another CMS or a closed CMS that they were used to?
Well, I think for me, Joomla has always sort of been the perfect middle ground, in the sense that it's actually fairly simple to learn to use. Most of our clients get 2 to 4 hours of education, and even if they've never used Joomla before, then they can master it and do everything they need to do, and that's enough. We give 30 days unlimited support to any client when we launch their website, and in most cases, clients does not need support beyond the 30 days, and most often they don't really need it beyond a few days. Then they're able to do it themselves, so we're empowering clients to do it themselves. I realized that Joomla is a little more complicated in terms of the intuitiveness when you see it the first time if you compare it to, say, WordPress. But on the other hand, you can also do so much more. You're much more empowered to change your website or your e-commerce site or whatever you're doing, because you have these more, you have the modules and the plugins and the flexibility of actually changing all these things yourself. So you have a lot more freedom. Of course, there's a bit more complexity to that. But if you compare it towards the other end of the segment, like with Drupal, well, then in Drupal, you need consultants to do pretty much everything. So once the website is built, then you can only do what it can do, and you cannot rebuild your own website outside of these borders. But with Joomla, you actually have the freedom and opportunity to rebuild your own website. Now, of course, if you're running a business and you'd like to sell coupons to your clients to do all the work they should be doing themselves, that might not be so good. But we have to realize that in the digital world we're in today, if our customers are not a part of the responsibility and daily updates of their own website, and they do not take that in for real into their organizations, they're not going to be running a company in the future. Tomorrow's companies and organizations need to also be digital. They need to master some of these things themselves. So we need to do this and work with CMSs and IT systems on the foundation that we are empowering and enable other people. So I think Joomla is the perfect CMS to do that. I've taught front-enders who comes from a background with WordPress many times, and once they realize how abstract and how layered the Joomla template engine is, they go, holy moly, they didn't realize it could be so easy. So when you upgrade a website, you don't really have to sit and change 800 plugins to update to a new design. It's in its own compartment where you work with it in an abstract layer with overrides and all that. So in many ways, Joomla, it's much more abstract and it's much more flexible. It gives a lot more freedom. It does require 2 or 3 or 4 hours of training to actually get to utilize the power that is in the CMS. But for us, today we build a lot of enterprise solutions. We have a lot of very large clients, multinational companies as clients. We have clients in 10, 15, 20, 30 different markets. We need that flexibility. We need that power. But on the same time, we create value for our customers by adding value with our hours to what they need. Our customers does not get added value because we build our own custom CMS for them. They get the added value what we do beyond the CMS. So we stand on the shoulders of Joomla as everyone else does. We also contribute to Joomla as a lot of other people do and have been doing for many years. So we share the foundation, we share the opportunity, the freedom and the flexibility, and that is part of the value addition we give to our customers and clients.
So you talk about the clients that you attract today when it comes to Red Web is multinational clients. How is it when it comes to AESIR? Is it the same?
It is absolutely. It can also, I mean, sometimes I say that with my Red Web hat on, we don't really build websites any longer. We build everything but websites, because a lot of websites today is one-dimensional, one-way communication, one-size-fits-all platforms that has content on it. But it's not really responding or adapting. It's not contextual. It does not see to understand the user and then adapt what it communicates to the individual. So both with AESIR and in Red Web, working with AESIR, we are building something different. We're building websites that are not just websites. We're building websites that are more live and vibrant. We're building websites that are always upgraded. They're always the newest version. We're building websites where we sit down with our customers and then we look at the behavioral data of all the visitors. We understand, identify, and we recognize the changes in the user behavior. And we use that data and those experiences to grow companies. We help companies grow. We help companies double their turnover or triple their turnover in 1 or 2 years in most cases, because they come from a situation where they might be converting 1% of their visitors and 99% of their visitors they know nothing about. And all of a sudden we do engagement levels on all the visitors. So we can identify all the visitors from say 90 to 99% of engagement levels. That's 10 times more visitors than they actually convert. And then by focusing on that segment and changing the website and the way we communicate, we're actually able to tenfold the turnover in a business, or we can change the conversion rate from 1 to 10% in a matter of 6 to 12 months. So, and that is something far different than building just a website. A good example is that if we have these archetypes, personas, as I know you're aware, and like the female archetype who's looking on images, who's very visual and has a visual journey through the website. And then the counterpart, the most outlier counterpart on the other side is the engineer male on 45, 50 years who knows all the technical details. He never clicks images. He only clicks the anchor text. He wants additional technical information. He wants massive product filtering and all of that. So we're building one website and it has to accommodate these two completely different behaviors. But realistically, you cannot build one website that does this. You need something beyond a simple website. You need something that is contextually aware and that can respond and adapt to the changes you see.
And I totally agree with that. And I think that I had a conversation, open discussion on one of my sessions at Boston at the Joomla World Conference. I think it was 2013. Yep. And we talked about then how can we like share cookies, or how can we like put something in Joomla that we can use modules or email forms or something. And if they already seen it or they already downloaded something, how can we take it away so they can see something else in their journey coming forward? And your solution is the first one I have seen coming after, like when I start looking at things. This is the only and the first one I have seen that actually is accomplishing the contextual marketing that we need to have at like on-site retargeting or whatever buzzword you use. Yeah. But the only thing that you say is like to help a visitor to get what they need when they need it at the right relevancy, at the right context for them to do what you want them to do and what they want to do at the same time.
Exactly. And I think that's really interesting, because it's about purpose and meaningfulness. When people use Google to search for something, it's because they have a purpose and they want something meaningful out of it. Google is a success because Google is able to supply meaningfulness to most people who uses Google. In Denmark, the number is, I think, 96.4% of all Danish people use Google when they search for something. It's part of the research of every human in this country by now, and it's the same in most parts of the world. Of course, in some countries, they have different search engines, but it's the same it's about. So when people want meaningfulness, it's fun to try and compare it to the real life. If you go into a physical store, then the first thing that happens is that the clerk in that store will notice you. If they have seen you before, they will use that experience and knowledge to address you in a meaningful way. If they've not seen you before, even if they have, they will ask you, what can we help you with today? What do you need? What do you want? If they can remember you were there before and maybe you bought some cowboy pants, then they will say, oh, how is your cowboy pants? Are they still good? Maybe you need a matching sweater or a pair of shoes that fits to your cowboy pants, or do you need the new model we have of the same cowboy pants? Because in real life, in all the physical world, in reality, we are all contextual in our relations. We always try to add some meaningfulness to the relations and interactions we have with each other. But when we go online, in most cases, it's not that meaningful. And it's one size fits all. So that's part of the revolution that is coming. The internet of 2017 is a 4-year-old girl who's holding her breath and demanding that she has it her way. And now we are saying no more. We need to change this. The internet needs to grow up, be mature, and accommodate people's purposes and requirements as they need it, not as we want it. And that's the beauty of it. If we look at modern marketing 3.0 and concurrency of value sets between partnerships and no longer just a seller and buyer, then we often share the goals of that purposefulness and also the meaningfulness of the relation. So when we look at organic visitors, people who are very clear on what they write in Google, who get into a web shop, they will buy more, have a bigger turnover, etc., than any AdWord campaign you can find and see, because it's an organic, natural way of finding the right thing that you're looking for and making sure that you also get that out of it, what you're expecting. So that's sort of what we're trying to do. We did an analysis of platforms on the market, and in Scandinavia and North America, one of the really big platforms out there in the high end is Sitecore. Sitecore is a .NET system, proprietary software, etc. And Sitecore tries to do some of the same things we do. It's between 300 and 800% more expensive, and it cannot do the same as we do it. It needs consultancy on all levels. It's not built to be rebuilt, etc. So yeah, this is a revolution, and it's all based on Joomla. Joomla is the CMS that's right under AESIR Contextual Marketing, AESIR Commerce, AESIR DAM, AESIR PIM, AESIR Events, AESIR Mailflow, etc. All of our extensions on AESIR is built right on top of Joomla. So when people say, or if anyone says that you cannot do something with Joomla, that's not true.
And that's assuring to listen to. And I think that a lot of people will be looking at, what do you mean by build on top of Joomla? How can you provide a service that's on top of Joomla that is not extensions? but actually is a whole solution. And as you say, we were talking a little bit before, you said that it's not just the website itself, it's also where all the assets are stored. It's, like you say, also that it's always updated. So how's that working?
Well, yeah, what we do is we actually set up a VPS, a virtual private server with dedicated resources and everything. We ought to do that in Denmark, in the US, or in Vietnam, depending on where our clients' needs are, their users. If it's a global company, then we split it around the world where the individual installations get as close and quick to the user as possible. Then we install the Joomla side, the AESIR platform packages, all the add-ons and everything. We set up everything, we connect it via web services. So, for instance, right now we're deploying a customer that has 20 individual installations spread in 3 different data centers. On top of that, they have a global PIM system, product information management system, that is also built on AESIR, and they have a DAM system, digital asset management system, that is also built as an add-on for AESIR. And that is a global installation and instant use all around the world by these market sites. Then in the global context, they do corporate content and information, product information, campaigns and marketing, etc. And that is then via web service syndicated out through all the 20 market sites in 20 different countries. Then locally, the individual marketing teams logs into the front end of Joomla, and they have specialized content creation wizards for AESIR, etc., that make sure that they can do local enrichment or translations, etc., as they need to, and then they can expand and extend the local marketing opportunities from each of the local websites. So while being global and also being a full value chain, it's also localized into individual installs and individual virtual private servers around the world, but all of it together acts like a complete SaaS platform. So it's sort of a software as a service, or you could say it's sort of a digital organization / company as a service, and the freedom of doing it like that also means that if you have some localized needs or requirements in terms of a special ERP system, a specialized payment integration, or legal requirements, etc., you can do it like that. Canada is talking about safe harbor rules. The US is doing the same. Europe is doing it now. Germany is talking about a specific German safe harbor rule. So any German citizen's data has to be in Germany. Well, in this way of viewing the world as loosely connected systems into a complete value chain, it's not that hard. We just set up a VPS in Germany, and then we let the German content safe harbor there, but it's also still part of the global value chain that we have created for the company, which we integrate to the CM system and the ERP systems. So it is still Joomla, it is still extensions, it is still all of that, and we keep it like that because that assures the freedom we need. But at the same time, it's software as a service. Our motto is growing together. So when we have a new feature, well, all our customers get it automatically because they're always upgraded to the newest version. Then as they get more out of it, they convert more users, they have more turnover. Well, then of course they feedback fuel into our partners, into the AESIR main brand, and then AESIR continues to grow as well as our partners grows. So we're sort of using the tree of life, this big image of Yggdrasil, the tree of life, that sort of connects everything in life into one, and it keeps growing. And that's sort of what AESIR also does, and what our partner channel does, and our end users does, because it's continuous.
So how do you market AESIR to your clients? What is your best channel of marketing today?
It's a little hard. It's very different. Sometimes it's getting this invitation out to an organization and have a chat with them, and understanding. I mean, and sometimes it's from Facebook, it's from LinkedIn, it's from email, it's from Google Organic. At the end of the day, we get a lot of leads from different channels. Most of them are digital, of course. But what is really required to make successful projects for us is that we get the opportunity to go out into the company and talk to them and listen to and understand them and see what makes the company organization tick. what's the situation? Where can we identify processes that we can accommodate and take into this value chain implementation? How can we educate them to do this? How can we teach them to work with things over time? How can we take an apparent successful offline organization with a not so successful online organization and merge them together into one organization that is actually operating in a modern world and context, and that requires that we go out and talk to them, or we can do it via GoToMeeting in other places. But that commitment of wanting to change or wanting to consider the alternative and the options to become better, doing things better, is important from the client side. And sometimes you can really change a lot of things, other times not so much.
And I was just going to say that because when I come to clients and we talk about helping them with marketing automation, or we talk about how to digitalize or systemize their company, they say, okay, here's our marketing budget, and here is our sales budget, and here's our support and after sales budget, and there are different requirements, and they are not synchronized, and they want to work in their silos because that's how their company is set up. And when we talk about digitalize them or systemize them, and we talk about the customer journey being a complete transition through the whole company, they have to actually reorganize themselves within the company to work behind the scenes in a better way to support the customer and the viewer and the visitor, and to convert them into leads and convert them into clients and happy clients that want to buy again. How do you feel like when you come to clients like that, how do you convince them to start thinking of their budget in a different way or working in a different way behind the scenes? Well,
you're absolutely right. That is sort of the status quo today in most organizations and companies. And you have these silo thinking. So each C-level executive is responsible for each of their areas. So I think the start often comes with that most of these organizations and companies have an inside-out perspective. And that's why it's based on their silos. If you're dealing with e-commerce and then you ask them about the category tree, then the category tree will be based on their product tree from the ERP system, because they used to do turnover statistics on that. But then when you then ask them, but is that meaningful for your customers? Do they actually understand that? I realize you want to have turnover statistics for each of these groups, but it's not meaningful for your customers. So I think it starts by converting them from an inside-out perspective to an outside-in perspective. They need to understand that the most essential element of any form of disruption today is understanding the change in behavior with your customers. If you cannot see the change in behavior with your customers, and you cannot recognize it, or you not understand the value of it, then your company is in a risk of not being a company in a foreseeable future. Because your competitors today, with the digital tools available, amongst others, what we do with AESIR, we change market shares. We go into markets and we change market shares big time by changing and accommodating the companies and what the value addition offer they have online based on what people actually want. And we've seen it over the years. I mean, companies like IBM and Xerox used to be some of the biggest conglomerates on the planet. And today they're not so much. They're still big companies, but they're not really moving at the forefront of things any longer, are they? Because they stopped looking at what people wanted and instead tried to set agendas of what they wanted. So I think quarterly reporting and shareholders dream of more advances and things. I think that is like an obstacle that we have to transition as a society to transition to the next level of customer journeys and customer relationships. And I think that the bigger companies have a much bigger job to do. And if they haven't started yet, they are in a big trouble. I think it's easy for smaller businesses that are agile, that can reorganize themselves quite a bit faster and be more like closer to the market. I think that a lot of C executives are not close to the market. They see reports or they see statistics or they're meeting and they get to know more about their clients by listening to other employees instead of actually talking to the client themselves. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And it's also when you have the silos and you have an IT manager and a finance manager, et cetera, and then they have each their area. Then you sort of sometimes see these skewed processes where marketing wants something, but IT is in a different place, and then you cannot do something coherent. And it needs to have a certain cohesion to it when you go in and change everything. We had a fun experience not so long ago, where after 3 workshops at a client, they actually fired their old advertising agency.
Wow.
And that was after a 12-month process of a digital transformation journey with the advertising agency, because the advertising agency was helping them to create some very fine-looking PowerPoints, but there was no real journey. It was not what the trick is that it's not our journey, it's their journey. So we start by identifying the users we need to take on this journey, and then we give them the creative ownership of the process. They need to go through the journey. They need to realize that they need to use different names and labels. I mean, we built a website for the 6th largest municipality in Denmark 5-6 years ago, the city of Kolding. And on the workshop, we had 13 departments from the municipality, and each department meant that they were the most important thing and should be on the front page. And they were like technical sub-department for land ownerships, et cetera. And then slowly we got all the 13 departments to make a persona. It's a person they meet every day in their working life that represents the way they meet the customers. Then in the next 8 hours of workshop, then they did not attend the workshop. They were attending the workshop on behalf of that one persona they helped create. And then the first challenge I gave them was, you get into a white room, you have 4 doors, you can put 1 word on each door. And I had 13 different departments that had to agree on putting 1 word on each door. And those were the 4 only doors into the municipality online. So after 8 hours, we actually got to a result where everything was completely renamed because the journey succeeded. They saw that they needed to change from inside out to outside in. And the really funny thing is that after we did this, then all other municipalities in Denmark have changed the way they speak about things and label things online. So now all Danish municipality websites have the same naming and the same conventions for how you build a content structure with an outside-in perspective.
But that's the case. Like when you come in and you do a market change, like you did, you made some change in the market, you made a dent in the market. Of course, the competitors or the people in the community, or like in this case, they will transition to the same thing because the users are getting to use this and they are expecting it. And that's why I say sometimes when you look at the big platform that a lot of people use, like Facebook or Google, if your website is not behaving the same way, people expecting some things that they are used to use every day. And if you cannot upload an image or you cannot comment on things in the same kind of way, they don't want to rethink their way of doing things. They just want to take their same behavior into your website.
Exactly. It's the same when people go down to the local store, at least in Denmark. When you go up to the cash registry in the supermarket, that's where the candy is. And I mean, people expect the candy to be up near the registry, right?
Yeah.
So don't put the candy a different place in the store because people are already expecting it to be there.
Because you just want to be different, and that's why you want to place it somewhere else. Don't. Like, some things you can be different with, but some things you have to keep the same.
Exactly, yeah.
So when we talk about we talked a little bit about the marketing, and I think that I totally agree with the silos and the expectation. Like, we had clients that said, oh, do you know what, as marketers, we need to figure out how to get leads to the sales department. And they have a special number that they have to measure up to every month. And then the salespeople say, oh, that's not good leads because they just got one phone call on them, or they don't know enough about them because everything is in the marketing system and nothing is coming over to the sales system. Yeah. So I think that the more people that look into their internal processes to support the customer journey that they expect, I think that they will be more successul.
Absolutely, and also the amount of touch points. I mean, in any selling process, there's a lot of touch points involved. Part of what we do is with AESIR, when we identify the engagement level of the customer, we actually set up specific plugins that look for specific behavioral traits, and then they add value to the engagement level. So we measure engagement from 0 to 100%. Of course, 100% is someone that is converting. If it's an e-commerce solution, it's someone who's buying something. But let's say you go into an e-commerce site, then you come organically from Google. You search for something, you go to the product page, you click the different attributes. If it's a furniture, you want the one in oak and light oak. You're checking for the added pillow or whatever it is. Every action you do like that is meaningful and adds to the engagement level. So let's say one of my clients is a business-to-business furniture web shop, e-commerce solution. They sell desks and chairs and stuff like that for offices. They're actually running on AESIR and Red Shop on top of Joomla. So whenever they have visitors with a specific behavior that triggers, they go above 70% in engagement level, then they know that it's worth to take that data and send it out to the sales team, because they can see the specific companies visiting the websites, they can see the specific behavior, and they see, this company is looking for this and this and this and this. So, but they didn't buy. Because if they bought, we wouldn't have to contact them, right? So we actually take all the data of the users who are closest to buying, we can identify as business to business, and then we put it out in the sales channel where you have regular old school salespeople calling them up, contacting them, and finalizing the deals. When you do that, then the segment from 70 to 89% is actually very, very easy to convert and to optimize. The problem is that today, for most organizations, they cannot recognize and differentiate from 0 to 99. It's just one big mass of failed opportunity. So being able to identify meaningful behavioral engagement levels and then picking out those as the lowest hanging fruits and seeing the full behavioral patterns. What did they do? How did they do it? What was their mindset and how far are they? And then putting it into a lead in the CRM system or in the sales channel so that the sales people follow up can drastically increase sales in any e-commerce store.
And at the same time, you are actually not wasting the sales force time, because you have people that having valuable sales conversation with people that would like to have that sales conversation with them, and they don't have to filter out the customer filtering system because it's already done by the website and your system. So I think that's a way of thinking differently on how to maximize the people's power of actually engaging and doing their right work, so they don't do automated work or mundane work that is like just not feasible anymore. We have to have machine learning, we have to have machine system, we have to have processes that filtering bubbles up things that are more, like you say, ready to talk to, and they would like to talk to, so you don't feel like you are annoying someone, but you're actually calling and saying, hey, can I serve and can I help you?
Exactly, and I think part of going from cold calling to warm follow-ups, I mean, where you go from pushing people, setting salespeople out to them and not knowing what they need or require anything, and then to contact them, say, hey, can we help you out? We noticed that you were looking on this and this. Did you know that we have this and we can do this? When it's meaningful and purpose is fulfilled, then it creates a lot of change. A funny thing is also that all the behavioral data we collect with AESIR is prepared for big data and machine learning. So in a couple of days, we can do a Google prediction script, for instance, and we can send all the data, let's say from the office furniture shop. We can take the behavioral patterns, then we can take the postal codes of all the visitors. We could do an API to a weather service API, and we can check, is it raining or is it sun? Which postal number do they come from? Which behavior do they have through the e-commerce store? And what do they end up buying? So in 2 days or so, we can set up a recommended product module that uses machine learning to recommend the most probable products for people that they would be buying. But there's an interesting little twist to that, because machine learning only works on the usual suspects, on all the customers you already have. So machine learning does not identify potential. And that's where it's important that the data is available in a context where you can sit down with the customers and look at the visitor flows, the behavioral flows, and try and identify the potential of new growth markets. Because often companies will be doing really good in one or more segments, but they will also not be doing very good in other segments. And you can optimize the existing segments, the usual suspects. You can really utilize and optimize that. And maybe we can 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8-fold turnover. But the untold story about the potential of the customers they don't reach, we cannot identify. We need to do that with human intelligence. That is also why it's so important, it's pivotal that we get the employees and the companies involved into the process.
Yeah.
They need to look at the data. They need to be a part of it. They cannot outsource this part of marketing automation, contextual marketing, etc. They need to be a part of it. They need good suppliers. They need people to help them tell the stories in the right way, integrate to the right systems, the right platforms, but they need to be an essential part of the journey that they are on. They need to understand the users themselves to accommodate the changes in behavior.
And it also inflicts on all the other things that they do in their company. So it's also customer support will have a different way of greeting and servicing the clients, just because they have a better vision of what the avatar is all about, or their persona, or their ideal client, whatever you call them. But I think that's like the epiphany that a lot of people get. It's like, whoa, okay, we cannot just change the website to do this. We need to change our salespeople, that they have a conversation on the phone, or people calling into support, or the help desk on the Facebook Messenger. They need also to know this. So people get more energized in the companies, and they get a better focus on what they're going. And that's why they also get more revenue in the end. It's not just the website. Yeah,
and that is really the transformation of changing to the outside-in perspective, and everything you do has to be based on what your customers want, or what your customers of tomorrow wants to do. If you're in this world, in any service organization, or anyone that produces anything that is targeted to other human beings, then it has to be on their premises. And if it's not, then I don't think you have a future much longer in this world. At the time of disrupting things are long here.
And I think also that I would like to know more about, like, you now talk about like the future, and the future is kind of here when it comes to AESIR, and you are pushing the envelope forward to what is coming. But how do you feel like, how do you get a team together that actually can support your ideas, and where do you get the input on what needs to be in the system, and how do you recruit them, and how is that working?
Well, that's a broad question.
Yeah, I know, but it's like we can talk about this everything. Like, we are on this and we are focused on it, but then it's like, okay, making this happen, you have to have a great team with you. And how do you recruit them? And how do you get them? Like, what's your success method of actually keeping them?
Yeah. Well, I think that for starters, we're just around 80 people now around the world, and we keep hiring. We just had one more who started today. Well, no, actually, two new employees starting today. So we continuously will hire and expand, but we're also training programs. We do take in juniors or newly educated backenders, and we have structured training paths for them to follow with their mentor and stuff like that. Of course, where we are right now, we are on the brink of what is possible. I mean, most customers and organizations, they don't know this is possible yet. They've never heard of it.
Yeah.
So we are in a place now where it's strongly fueled also by the right vision. And so the vision of where we are going on behalf of our customers. I mean, I've sat out in more than 1,000 companies and organizations, and when you put your hands into it and you get what gets the company thinking, what is it they need and why do they need it and all of that, then my task as sort of the visionary behind this is to convert the input from the customers and recognize and understand, identify the customer's needs and requirements and convert them into general features in the AESIR platform. Then, depending on which sort of area it is, I have different team members, technical project managers, consultants, etc., where we raise the different ideas and aspects. We wireframe most of the things we do. We test them with customers. We do surveys. We do a lot of content marketing from AESIR Content Marketing.com as well today. We look at respondents on our context marketing, on our articles. We have many different sources of information today. And then I think continuously when we do we have partners around AESIR, but also in Redweb, we have end customers. We also use AESIR in Redweb. And we get continuous feedback from our customers. What's good, what could be better, and what do we need more, and stuff like that. So it's a complex question to a complex answer. But I think what shows in every year where we have our employee satisfaction surveys and stuff like that, and talks with all employees, there's three things that keeps coming back in terms of keeping our employees. The first is challenge. It's challenging. Every day they go to work and they do something new, because we are moving on the forefront of what's possible with our technology today. So it's always a challenge to go to work. The second thing is freedom. All of our employees have the freedom to create their own workday. I don't like to micromanage people. And in general, our organizational diagram has 2.5 layers. It's me, the direction, and everyone else, pretty much. we do have some project managers, and we do have in some departments, some team leaders who work with education and stuff like that. But in general, we are an extremely flat organization with a lot of people who enjoy their job, who have the freedom to decide how their workday is going to be. And even if we have someone who's hired for one thing and then they turn out to be very good at something else, and that's where the passion is, then they will do that job and will hire someone else to do what they used to do. So that's the two major components. Also because we're inventing things. When you invent things, you need people who like challenges and like freedom to come up with new stuff. If we just profit maximizing old technology again and again and again, then you don't need a lot of freedom. You don't need a lot of invention, right? You need to be very efficient to earn money, but that's also a little boring. So we're not there. We want to do something different. The third aspect, which is really important, is that everyone at all these talks every year say that they really enjoy the social relations. Our team members calls the company is the Red Family. So whenever we have a new, like today, we have 2 new people joining our company Slack channel, then a lot of people is writing, "Hey, welcome to the Red Family," and so when people have that opinion, when your employees express those opinions on their own basis, and not because it's something with a vision and a mission and values that we put on a website, but it's from the inside, then these 3, I think, internal values of working with a challenging environment, having the freedom to do what you can do and commit yourself to creating new things, and then having a really good social environment where you like your colleagues. And I think that's probably the 3 most important aspects. And of course, then you need a crazy Viking at the top with some visions to make it happen. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
So just to be clear, like you have both physically an office, but you also have virtual people joining you. Yeah.
We have right now we have the HQ is here in Denmark in Odense. We have 30 people here, 31 now, and then we have an office in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam where we have 26 people, and then around the world we have an additional 25 something in 11 other countries. We are slowly starting to create offices, and we plan to create offices the next 6 months in Guatemala and in India, and we're also establishing an office in the US in the next 3-4 months. So we're expanding to the US market. We just opened a small office in Copenhagen, also the Danish capital, where we have 2 consultants sitting over. So, I mean, around 1200 years ago, Europe saw a ship revolution, and it was Vikings who traveled all over Europe. And now we're doing a digital revolution, a digital Viking revolution. AESIR is named after the Norse gods, and one group of Norse gods, the AESIR gods, was actually the gods that the Vikings believed in some 1200 years ago. So yeah, we have a strong tie to where we come from. And also, I think a lot of people think that Vikings went out to Europe to pillage churches in England, and although that was probably fun. They actually went out to get farming land. They went out to build farms, to grow things, to meet new cultures, and to expand and see new things. That was the main reasons why they went out. And it's the same we're doing now. So in the coming months, we are starting to expand our partner network globally, and we have content partners like advertising agencies, text authors, and stuff like that. We have solution partners who can do more themselves. With technical partners, integration partners. But for all our partners, what remains is that if they want us to help them with something, then we actually do it. So it's not just a platform they sort of buy into and sell to their clients. It's also a value offer where we as a company with 80 plus employees and growing, we help to empower their business. So if they are 4 people or 6 people or 8 people and they need some skills they don't have themselves to do some of these projects, then they can actually get us to do it. So if they can do everything else, but they have problems with the ERP integration, which is very technical, it's an old ERP system or something, then they can call us and we will help to do that part. And then everything works out and the customer is happy. And so we empower the partner as they empower the end customer, end client, and so we grow together. And I think that sort of partnership, because they're not required to get us to do anything in this partner channel. It's an available option. It's an opportunity, but it can help to expand and extend their business when you suddenly have 80 plus people behind you who can help to.
You can do whatever you are best at. I think that's the key of actually being satisfied with your work when you do something that you're really good at, that you like and you enjoy, and you can be inventing and growing into a more advanced person. But you cannot be experts on every area, and you can't have a big team who has experts in every area. If you don't have the money, if you don't have the time to actually focus on recruiting the right people. So instead of doing that, it's like you say, the possibility to join you guys. If I'm a smaller agency or if I'm a smaller web developer or a freelancer and I want to join your team as a partner or as a freelancer or as an employee, that possibility for me to grow my business as a Joomla business is immensely interesting for a lot of our viewers, I think, because they are looking for reasons to grow and means to grow. And if you don't have the capital and you don't have the interest maybe to have a big organization and be the top guy and have all the HR problems and all the other things that comes with having a large organization, but you still want to have the benefit of actually aligning yourself with someone else. So I think that's a really interesting way of finding a partnership to grow in a sense. So that is going to be very interesting in that sense. I'm going to see why Ronni has left the building. Hey, you are on, but I am not on. Hello.
Hello again.
Hello again. Something happened. We're still live, I think. So let's continue. It's just a glitch in our way of thinking. But my idea was to talk about the possibilities of growing with you. If I cannot grow by myself, I can actually align myself. And we talked about that before, that one way of growing Joomla and being more successful as individual companies will be to join forces with other companies to gain momentum and gain more profitability and gain more market share.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the challenge is that when you do partnerships, it requires trust and commitment. If if I have, let's say, 4 different Joomla consultancy agencies with 3 employees each, well, with 3 employees, you will in most cases only do jobs up to a specific level, because large organizations hire bigger companies with more staff and more assurance of delivery and stuff like that. So often size is a limitation in terms of how big companies you can get in clients. It's not always so, but it's a general rule of thumb. But if you're 4 agencies that go together and then suddenly you're 12 people, well, then you'll be able to attract more organizations, bigger companies, etc. But
you might have different niches as well. You might have different expertise that when you join together, you have a better platform together to be more stable.
Exactly. I think a lot of what we're seeing with this partnership channel and idea is also that, let's say something like advertising agencies. We have some advertising agencies amongst the Joomla agencies as well, but we also have a lot of advertising agencies who are very good at telling stories, helping clients to promote their products and services, make sure they take the right pictures and they have the right angle and they're doing the right customer analysis and stuff like that. But traditionally, a lot of advertising agencies are not very strong in doing technical delivery of complex solutions. That's why a lot of advertising agencies tend to do less complex solutions.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need complex solutions to really streamline and automate things and make it easier for people to work with. But the technical part is complex and need some people to deal with it that can handle that. On the other side, in the Joomla world, we have a lot of very technical small agencies and developers who might not be very good at storytelling. and so if some of these work together, or both of them could become partners with us as well, of course, but there would be so much more potential. I mean, yes, you might have a small agency where you do the same 3 types of jobs day in and day out, and it might be good, etc. And if we partner up, you might be worried about sending something to me. But if I can do the technical stuff 8 times faster because I have the more people to do it, and you can then focus on doing the other things you're really good at, so you can actually get 10 times as many customers or bigger customers, more challenging jobs and building. I mean, the best things about getting bigger customers is that you don't really have to consider cutting corners. You actually get the hours you need to produce a quality solution where you can look at it before you send it to the client and say, I'm proud. We really did something amazing. What we did here was, man, that's why I go to work. That's why we go to work. So I think that is the potential. But sometimes it requires the trust that we work together. Yes, initially we might be giving away some consultancy hours to someone else, but down the road they will come back to us and we will get more opportunities to build bigger clients and bigger projects. But I think trust is sort of the foundational element that is required to make it work.
So we are coming up to the top of the hour. So if we can talk forever. I think that this super interesting to have some conversation about the business way of growing your business with Joomla and partnership. And with your solution, it's possible to get bigger clients, like you say, that have a bigger budget that we can cater for more things. So it's not just a visual one-pager of Joomla.
Exactly.
So we talked about before that you are contributing to the project. You've been on the board of directors. You are on the Joomla World Conference team as well. Do you recommend people that are viewing this conversation that they should be involved into contributing to Joomla as a volunteer, and why?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the last 8-9 years on average, I've probably spent 15 hours a week contributing to Joomla. In some of those months and years, a lot more than 15 hours as well. Currently, I'm the director of Joomla World Conference team. It's the 6th year I'm with the JVC team, and we're doing the Joomla World Conference in Rome now in November. I'm also still on the legal team. And if there's, I'm actually the team lead of the legal team unofficially, because I tried to find someone to replace me. So if there's one of the US that has some legal or contract agreement background and want to contribute on the legal team, do contact me, and we can set some things up. But yeah, I do. Over the years, I've been in many different working groups and teams, contributed on many different levels and aspects. It's something special to. I mean, it's about purpose again, isn't it? And meaningfulness. Sometimes contributing your own time for free to something that is bigger than yourself is just, it adds value in your life. And it's done that for me. I think if you look at my Twitter profile, I have a couple of thousand followers. Most of these are Joomla people. Most of them I've actually met at Joomla events around the world. I have shared a beer or two and a laugh and had some fun and talked to them and seeing the world through their eyes and their experiences and their backgrounds. And Joomla is a very diverse community. It's a very diverse organization. It has a lot of souls that really want to help to make things happen. And I think that I would absolutely recommend starting to volunteer. And also, it's become a little easier to volunteer today because we have the volunteer portal on volunteers.joomla.org, where you can actually see vacant positions and you can see all the different working groups and teams, and you can pretty much just show up and offer to contribute your time or your help, and it's very easy to get in. Back when I started with Joomla, there was hardly a list of the working groups, so it was a little harder getting to know people and stuff like that. So thankfully, over the years, it's become easier and easier and easier to take part and be a part of tomorrow's contributors. And I mean, today with our new organizational model, people who contribute and are sitting in working groups actually vote on their own team leaders, and they vote on their board of directors and the president and the officers and everything. So contributing also means that, because Joomla is not owned by a company, of course, as we know, so Joomla is owned by the people who contribute to Joomla. It's owned by everyone. All the people also use Joomla, and everyone. We own it together in part of how we contribute and how we help out. So it's a collective effort, and that's what is unique with Joomla. And none of our CMS competitors has that. So it's nice to see that in 2017 we can still have something that is community owned and shared and contributed to, and yeah, it's some nice people out there. So I'd recommend that.
Yeah, and it's a good way for you to grow because you are getting, like you said, you gain a network, you get to know people, and it's easier to find out who can I collaborate with in my business as well, and where should I fit in when it comes to maybe a partnership or maybe another entity. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, or simply just learning things or becoming better or getting that contact that. So suddenly you go around the world to a conference in 6 months, and then you learn something you never thought you would learn, and you go back and you build your business, and it's a completely different way, different world, and everything changes. So there's a lot of potential in offering yourself up. I do believe in karma in many ways, and as you contribute your own time and willingness, it comes back to you. Actually, I started RedWeb in the same way. Back when I started RedWeb and started really offering Joomla out to the Danish businesses, open source was pretty unknown and unheard of, and so I think it was at a Danish entrepreneur portal where a lot of startup businesses took part. I think I wrote 5,000 answers on different forum threads where business owners in Denmark were asking for help with web-related elements and issues and stuff. So I spent a lot of time there. I think I spent 20 hours a week for a couple of years just sharing all my knowledge and information with all of these business owners, thousands and thousands of business owners in Denmark. And at the same time, it actually built up my company because a lot of these were coming back to me and getting websites and e-commerce sites and all of that. And I also think that is also why Joomla grew a lot in Denmark those years, because there was thousands of business owners that learned what Joomla was through all my oceans of answers.
And that's also a way of contributing to Joomla, to be helping to get the awareness out there, to help business owners to know that Joomla is out there for them if they need to, and how they can get to know more about Joomla. So it's also a way of contributing. It's not just going in there and getting the code done. It's also helping with the awareness and marketing building.
Absolutely, and translations and documentations and marketing and helping to create an image for the next new release, and making sure that the local JOG, your Joomla user group in your little city in some country is operational and working, or heck, even bringing coffee and a cake to the next meetup or something. Yeah. There's many ways of contributing, and it's hard to say that some are more important than others, because at the end of the day, then when you have a group of people, well, you sort of need more than one for a group, don't you? And in this case, we need a lot of people for the group too.
So, like I said, we can talk forever, and I think that a lot of people got a lot of new insights from you today that they might not had before, or they have maybe got bits and pieces of. If they want to continue this discussion with you, we will have the possibility for you to all of you that use this, to put your comments and your questions in the comments, and Ronni will go in and answer them for you. But at the same time, if someone wants to get in touch with you to know more about AESIR, if that's a good fit for them as a partner, or if they want to figure out if there is an employee or a partnership, a possibility when it comes to RedWeb, how do they get in touch with you?
Well, either they can go to AESIRcontextmarketing.com, or they can just send me an email. Just send to ronnie@redweb.dk. That's my direct email. I'm looking for a few senior backend developers right now, and we are hiring a lot of people in the coming months and years. So send away. But also, I mean, there's a lot of countries in this world. And yeah, we're in the Danish market, we're in the Canadian, American, and in Vietnam, and a few more countries. But there's a lot of countries where we're not at all. There's no RedWeb presence, and I think they deserve to have AESIR too. They deserve to be a part of this revolution of technology that is certainly available and affordable. So we're interested in partners from all over the world. So if you run a Joomla agency or an advertising agency or whatever it is, then let me know, and let's have a talk. Maybe we can work something out.
Sounds great. So I will see how everything, if there's any questions that come up. No, it's not. That are unresponded. So let me then say thank you so much, Ronni, for joining the show as the special guest of this episode. It's been an awesome and truly valuable episode, and thank you so much, because you made it all happen. So that concludes this episode, and if you join and enjoy the show, please share it with your friends. If you'd like to see the previous episodes or get notification of the upcoming ones, please click the link in the description of this broadcast. We will also get to the information and contact information to Ronni in the description, so you can get in touch with him. So thank you so much for watching the Pixpro Labs live show in this episode. So see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.